Hey folks, this is Totally and welcome to some more game dev. I'm just going to jump right back into it. We started up this morning kind of cleaning up the map editor. I feel like we are very close, maybe another 10 minutes away, maybe 20 of like just kind of wrapping all of that cleanup. And then we're going to spend a good chunk of the stream, fingers crossed, as long as we don't run into any issues, working on building out the Demon Lord Castle, which we've been trying to do for a while. So that being said, I did just break everything right before we started. I don't know what I did, but something in here is causing a problem where we are trying to send this to an enum value even though it's an integer value. I think I was cleaning up a bunch of like dead code from when we were trying to set this stuff up as a reorderable list, and I'm just not sure what I did. Yeah, like this is fine. This has all been working for hours. That's the direction. That's a... Well, that's weird that I'm getting both direction from both of these values, but that might have been a problem for a while. I don't see what I've done that's caused this issue. Oh, that could be it. Maybe it's this. These got swapped at some point. Please go back to working. Yes. Okay, that is functional again. Okay, good. So now if we click on this one, yeah, it has a custom prop and it has the data associated with it. I'm going to check a couple of things. If we add a new center pillar, center pillars are getting pushed way far back under the new system. That makes sense. I think all of this old system for placement is completely broken now. Yeah, it's all completely busted in the old way. Now that we've added this add custom prop, it's no longer working. So I think what I'd like to do, because this is working, center is here, front, back. I can't even tell if that's doing what I'm expecting actually. Let's click on another one. So if we set this one to front, oh no, that pushes it all the way back there. Center and back. Okay, so those values are wrong. I think this just might be an input error. These are probably supposed to be -2, because it needs to come forward on the tile, not backwards. So it's just an entry issue. Okay, and then center is now there, front is now there, back is back into the left. Okay, perfect. Cool, so we fixed that. Let's clear this prop. I think we can switch to this mode so it's easier to select stuff. Let's clear this one. This one can get clear, 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 and clear. And then this one can also get clear. So I think the next steps and the final steps here are just figuring out how this new system, which I think is mostly working at this point, we can add a new custom prop. Let's go through the options. We have it starting on custom. We can move it forward and we can move it, well, different forward. We can move it along both axes along the tile. And that all seems to be working well. We can change its height and adjust the height of this prop. And we can also choose whether it's flipped or normal now for billboards. If we go to a wall, it's going to flatten it, and we can either choose north or south, which essentially flips it, and then we can do west or east. And we can also change this back and forth along this edge. So if we were to do -4, 0, and then if we went north, -4, 0, those are kind of the two options. If we go to decal, actually, we should check everything. So that goes up and down. We've checked all the different things. We can also go up and down here. And then if we go decal, decal pastes this to the ground. Let's get a proper tile here that we can see this working a little easier. North, south, west, and east. And then we can also move it back and forth. Ooh, interesting. If it is at 0, it's like aligned with the floor. So the decal does get a little broken in that situation. That's okay. That is a limitation of the system for now. If we want to have something perfectly aligned with the floor and be able to move it back and forth through space, most likely I'm going to have to come up with some sort of layering system, but that I don't need to solve right now. That's more a problem with the tile itself than the data entry. And then if we go front, the only option we have is to move this up and down. Let's go back to the pillar. Cool. If we go center, we can move it up and down. If we hit back, we can move it up and down. But each of these are essentially changing it to a couple of preset locations where this can be aligned. And if we go left wall, it puts it on the left and changes its direction. If we go right, it goes here. And if we go decal, again, this works fine. We can change this to top, and then we can also change its pixel height, but we can't change its position, which I guess for this is perfectly reasonable considering it kind of breaks if we do that. But if we want to, we can always change it to custom and then have full control. Yeah, and even that's working well with this kind of shadow version for the fade. Okay, so that all looks to be working. We have not fully tested it in all situations while running the game to make sure it all loads in correctly, but I'm gonna guess we're fine on that front. It's essentially using the exact same code. If we run into problems while we're trying to build stuff, we'll fix them as they come. But I think the data entry and how the editor is going to work is mostly fine here, and we can clear this to delete it. My next problem is this area up here. Let's get rid of the gaps between some of these. Let's just clean up some of this. I don't think we need spacings between each of these. And then I don't think this needs a space of 20. This probably also doesn't need a space of 20. This probably doesn't need any space at all. Does that look better? It's going to collapse it pretty heavily. It does. Next problem. So right now we can change these decals. So if I change this to be a wall top, and I can change it here, but this is essentially doing the same thing as the add custom prop. And some of this isn't even working anymore. And I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to simplify all of this so that when you change something to say pillar, it doesn't even add it here. I think it should auto add a custom prop for you and set it to whatever option you chose with a proper default value, and it just adds it down here. And this goes back to clear essentially. And then if you add another one, I think it should add another prop down here in the same configuration maybe? I'm not sure. I just know that right now the way this is set up, it feels weird to me that we have both the entries up here and the ability to change things down here. However, I don't really want to just remove this because it is kind of nice to just be able to go, I just want this, thank you, and opposed to one click, preset, this click. It feels like it's a fair amount. Also, you might want to change the prop too. So that's like 3 clicks to change this to what we want, opposed to 1 click here. So I like these as like default entries essentially. So I think I'd like this to be keyed in somehow. And that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle for me. This also makes sense to me because right now there's a ton of like, well, these are all going to stay. It's more this stuff where we're just loading in a ton of addressable IDs and everything is custom here. And then we also have to have a bunch of custom code inside the tile. Whereas I feel like we could just add them to our list and then just have one for loop that just creates all the props for us. Yeah, this is the last piece. I think I like the UI, I like the way we're editing things, but instead of changing left-right option, modifying a default property inside, I think this should essentially do the same thing here. It's just going to add a new prop loader if these entries change. There's no way to get like a has been modified callback here. Not that I'm seeing. It might be in the layout options, but I doubt it. That's wouldn't make a ton of sense. So I think what we do is we have a check inside of each of these that if back option index dot index value does not equal prop. Oh, even this doesn't make a ton of sense, because where are we storing this value now? It's not going to be inside of the back prop. Because we could have a button to just add it instead. The problem is you can't just choose. I like the ability to be able to choose which prop you're adding. What if we have a drop down at the top that lets you choose which one you want, and then 6 buttons for each of the presets? And you could hit like wall left and wall right and then add the same button. But now we're getting back into a 1-2 press instead of just like, oh, I just want to add this. We're optimizing the GUI and the user experience, which I think is going to be important as we build a ton of these different maps. But the use cases for this, I might be wrong on. You're never going to want more than one of these because they're all essentially basic presets with no modifications to them. In fact, if we ever do left wall, you should only ever have one of these. Okay. Okay. Decal has the same information here. Front and back have the height, which isn't available in here by default. Okay. Each of these have a preset by default. Yeah. I feel like I would like to have these all embedded inside the list, but they do feel fine just to have one of each. But if we have the ability to choose the preset up here, it doesn't make as much sense to choose it down here. Because you wouldn't want to have a back selected here when you could choose it up here. There's two ways of doing the same thing. Just one slightly more convenient, but it's not integrated into the core system. Okay. Okay. I think it might be fine just to leave it. I want to optimize it, but I think we're okay. We can just leave back, center, front, left wall, right wall, and decal the way that it is. The only main difference here is that this enum has changed as we built out this one. Now instead it should be grabbing it like this. Except it's not going to be able to access it through an array element. We need to actually find the property, which we can do up here Decal direction index goes here. And this means we need to go reset all of the ones that we've already created, because all of their directions are going to be wrong. Okay. So if we go back here, we choose wall top, and then we choose south, that still flips it. Okay, so this is now operating again. Okay, that's probably fine. Probably some sort of working error. Error because of the work we're doing, but unrelated or unnecessary. I think... these are just faster. So maybe this is mostly useful for custom, which is what it defaults to. Okay. I felt like what I was building here was replacing this, but even just spending a few moments trying to play with it, I'm realizing it's still just really nice to be able to set a series of presets just through these options, opposed to having to go through and set a bunch of them here. It's fast, easy. Decal option is probably one of the ones that requires the most amount of extra details here, which feels a little awkward considering we can do all of the same stuff down here. But otherwise, I think that this is fine. Okay, let's play with it. Let's try. Let's start over. I believe I have a backup of this. Let me just bring the backup up once before we delete everything, just so that I have a reference. If we bring out wall temp, wall temp is not up to date. Okay, so if that's the case, we're going to clear all options here, which maybe that's a nice button we might want. Maybe we want a clear all options button. Okay, and I think this is a blank slate. We're gonna drag this back over here and replace the old one. Okay. We're gonna unpack this completely now. We're gonna clear. We're gonna regenerate from scratch. Okay, let's see how quickly we can build that back up again. So we're gonna select all of these ones. We're going to choose all of these to be 30 by 30. We're also going to choose all of these. In fact, we can really just choose all. Of those. Oh, but we caught some sprite renderers. Interesting. Clear, generate. Make it so nothing is markable except for these pieces. And then let's just select all of these ones. Hold shift, select these ones. Hold shift, select these ones. Hold shift, select these. And those. Now we should be able to go through all of them and go wall 30, wall 30, decal option, top walls 30. Okay. Then we're going to reselect, and once again this is selecting the meshes. Huh. Okay. How do I make it so I can select only these ones? Is it when I shift click that it adds? No, that's fine. That's fine. And that's fine. Okay, I'm not sure why I was selecting multiples there. We're now going to change these ones to be 2 brick highs. Wall, 2 brick. And then we're going to change the top of the decal to only be 20. All of these should mostly be facing the same way, which is going to be west, it looks like. Okay. And then we're going to go through and just pick the ones that need to be different. So this one is going to go south. This one needs to be changed out for a corner. And it needs to be changed to be north. Nope. Also south. What is going on here with this kind of section? Is that because I'm at a ×2? No. Did we get the data wrong for this one? It should have been 20. That looks to be slightly down a bit. 21. Why is the value off by 1? Is that off by 1 over here on these ones as well? It is. So at some point something we did modified it. Huh. Let's go take a look. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to stress test it. So it starts at 1. Gets timed by this value. So how are we getting an off by 1 error? That's the same value that should be working. Interesting. That one is really perplexing to me. What about 0? Does 0 still snap to the bottom? Yep. 1 moves it up 1. My only thought is it's rounding wrong in one of these spots. Are these billboards... Oh. Got it. What are we defaulting these to? These now have a default height of 1 because of some of the math we've changed. So it's not that these ceilings have changed, it's that the walls have changed. And we can actually see that they're slightly too high here. Okay, so we need to change the default value inside of here to be 0 pixel height, so it does not add any pixel height at all, and the loaded should be the same. And that means we're probably going to have to go through and modify them all again. Okay, well, better we figured it out now than later. If we want to modify all of these pieces, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So if I'm careful with my multi-select, it seems I can grab... Nope, got multiple there. Multiple. What am I grabbing? That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, we can't change the height. What did I just change over here? This to 30. Yeah, that's not going to do anything because the default has been set. Is there a way to regenerate that? No, once it's been created, we're never going to be able to fix it. Okay, start over. This is the stress. We got to be able to make this thing work so that we can very quickly and easily build levels. And this is exactly the type of thing I want to be testing. Okay, we're going to go... Actually, you know what we should be doing? We should be doing these in groups. So let's do all the high walls first. So we'll change all of these to 30 brick. 30 brick. Tops at 30. That looks better. Okay. Here, select all of these, and all of these. We're going to change all of these to be low walls. Wall tops, 20. And most of these should be facing west. Just this one needs to face south. And this one needs to be a corner that is also facing south. We are still getting some weirdness. That makes sense. That's the tall one. That's the top. This one still has a little bit of height to it. Where is that height coming from? Pixel height is 0 to start with. Custom offset has no value associated with it. The direction isn't being set here. Where are you getting some height from? Immensely confused. This is all 0 as well. Okay. One more time. Clear, generate, and just start focusing on this one tile. We're going to add one wall here, wall 30. What is your height? 0.0514. So you still have 1 pixel of height coming in from somewhere. Okay, let's go into here, turn on show metadata. Let's look at the left wall. It has a pixel height of 1. Why? If we look at, like, say, the right wall, it also has a pixel height of 1. This is a fresh object that we just spawned. I guess, where is this coming from? Like, how do we spawn these prefabs again? Do we instantiate this from an object? And that prop template probably has the data embedded inside of itself? It does not. Prop template does not have any information internally. So where are you getting this one height from? Well, the easiest solution would just make it so that if we go into those presets, we set it to 0. But I'm sufficiently confused. Should only affect this one. Okay. Okay. We're just gonna make it so that pixel height is defaulted to 0 if it's a wall preset, which is fine, but I really would have loved to know where that value was coming from. Maybe it's a Unity default to one thing? Like, I can't imagine that being the case though. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, it seems okay now. Maybe it wasn't saving some data? Has 0 for its offset. Okay. Let's try again. Here, 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 to here. All of these walls, 30, walls, 30, tops, 30 high. That's better. This one's going to be an inverse wall corner, like so. This will also be an inverse corner. Okay, and then lastly, this one's going to be an ordinary corner, and that's good. Come into here. Change all of these to be going to change these, and these all to be low walls. 20, 20 with wall tops at 20 high. And the majority of these are going to be facing west. You're an exception facing south. Oh, sorry, wrong type of corner. Okay, and then this will be an inverse corner. And I think that is a series of walls set up. Not as fast as I would like, but not bad. You can come into here, room decor, this goddess statue, which is one that Trixie's working on. She's still not happy with it, but okay, that all loads up okay. Let's see that in action for real. Let's bring this under the room. Let's turn off all of the editing we did. And then under here, let's raycast and turn back on prop loading so that we can see the stuff load in piece by piece. Ooh, not getting the ceiling pieces in place. So the height values aren't coming across. We are loading them, and I'm going to guess that this doesn't have any values associated with it. It does not. So this did not get any data for its height. This should be coming in from the decal. Raycast in order to repopulate the data with the changes we've made to the scripts. And now we should have the ceilings coming in correctly. Still no. So this is coming in with the decal custom information. This is now a Z value change. This is why I feel like it should just be handled in here. Same thing here. There's an inconsistency to the way the data is being read in and populated. I like the new way more. Okay. I see a couple paths for optimization. Okay, that's all the data coming in. Let's turn off debug load all. That wasn't too slow. It took a little bit because we were running into errors and bugs with the heights, but once we actually did it for real, that was pretty quick to edit all of that data. Okay. All the wall pieces are coming in okay. We can move along and see everything up here. Ooh, not seeing the shadowing here. Okay, that makes sense. We deleted that. So we're going to grab one of these. We're going to rename this to Fade. Which I might want to try and figure out if there's a way to build this directly into the transition tile nodes so that we don't have to keep copying this every time. But for now, we'll change this to be a decal option, exit, fade, That's the correct direction, correct height. So now we're just going to grab this fade object and we're going to move it over to here. Then we're going to copy it and then move another one over there. Cool. And then if we raycast the environment, which I think should have happened when we hit save just now, we should be able to see that fade on the exit. Yeah, and now we have this slight fade as we would leave the space. We do need to set each of those to be type walkable instead of wall. That should be visible at the root layer. We shouldn't have to go into the metadata to see that information. Okay, we're going to make that change. Is that what it's called? Tile type? I don't feel like that's right. Oh, tile type, okay. Then we want an enum version. We'll steal this one as a reference. And at the very top here, we're going to add this type dot enum value, enum flags field. This is not going to be a loader. This is going to be on the prop tile. We're going to get the tile type. And this enum type is not this. It is whatever this one is, core.tiletypes. Cool. And now we should be able to see that value in the inspector if Unity will open. Ooh, we see it here, but then we have a crash. Might be because we have to click off of that one and back on. Nope, it is continuous. Still upset. Oh, because we're going 2 levels too deep. We just need to find the property on the base. We don't need to go into one of the loaders. Interesting. Still an enum out of range index error. Interesting. Trying to create a custom type entry for this is more tricky than I thought it would be. Gonna validate that this is right. Maybe it's because it's a flag and I haven't done that before. I guess because I'm trying to cast it to an int. Cannot explicitly convert. Try that. This believes it's an integer. I'm not quite sure the casting for this because it's a flag. That seemed to do it. Okay. So I just need to set everything up correctly so that we're working with a flag type enum. So I need to use the enum value flag and actually use the enum flags field. Okay, that makes sense. So now we can change things to be walkable. So we can change the tile here to be walkable on this fade so we can walk out of the room. Same thing here. Cool. So, improvements. Based off of that alone, I think one thing I'm realizing is I think we can cut a lot of this out. Yeah. At the very least, we can do a add for each of these hard-coded ones instead of directly modifying it here. And this should cut down a little bit on the repeated code. As these are using presets themselves, they should just work. And we shouldn't need to have custom data for the decals because again, that should be built into the prop data as we instantiate it here. So in theory, everything should be raycasted and kept the same and we shouldn't need any of this. And we should be able to remove, I think, all variations of this except for the prop data one. And then we should be able to see that everything is consistent. All props handled the same everywhere. Let's give that a run. Oh, we got a raycast. We're going to need to regenerate the level data to make sure that worked. That's a big reduction in complexity though, which I like. We want to go all the way up here, raycast the environment, narrow errors from the changes we just made. So essentially we have 6 custom loaders that are always in place. Ooh, failed to find clear. That makes sense. So we need to actually do one extra little check here where for each of these, we need to validate that this prop loader dot is set with something. So if it's set, add it to the list. If it's set, add it to the list. So we're just going to paste all of these. And then we're going to come back through and replace the names. Again, I still feel like there's some way to reduce this down even further so that we don't have to have the 6 hard-coded variables for front, center, back, left, right, and decal. There should be a way for the editor code to handle that logic. And I think that's the last thing that's bothering me. Otherwise, I think I've come to terms with like the way the UI looks for this. I think it's great. But I don't like the way the scripts are built. Still hitting clear. Okay. Because we didn't raycast. So we need to regenerate the data based off of this new information. And we're starting a new version of the list every time, so we're not going to have carryover data between... Yep, and that looks fine. Okay. I'm still happy with that small improvement. Okay, now we can start playing with more props and seeing what else we can do. So if we kind of go away from the wall section and start looking at billboards, let's see what we can do with... Ooh, actually, one thing I want to try is I want to try adding windows more than anything else. So let's come into here, let's go walls, let's add window. We're going to make this a custom, but we're going to preset it to wall. We're going to have it be north facing. Ah, we would need to bring it forward. Interesting, yeah, it only peeks through just barely at the front here. So we'd need to have -5 be a valid option in order for this to function. Yeah, as much as I want to clamp us to only the valid options that I think are correct, it just feels like we need to have a little bit more wiggle room than that. Alright, so let's go up to 5. We found a situation where 5 is required. We update. The nice thing is this doesn't have any redata issues. Like, we don't have to go remap everything because of this. This is just an editor change. Interesting. Yeah, tricky for us to be able to add something on the same layer. This is the same problem we're running into with the floors sometimes, where we want to add something basically over top of something else. I guess there's just a real chance, like when we built this, we built the wall behind, but I was curious to see if I could layer something over top. But realistically, in order to be efficient on memory, it probably would be better just to have it be a different version of the wall tile. That way we don't have to draw 2 images, even if it would be nice to be able to have a transparent window we could place on multiple different buildings. For performance, it makes more sense for this to actually just be the wall. So if we change left wall to window, yeah, that probably makes more sense. Can we do the same thing on this one? Can this one be a right wall window? Right wall. Does this look okay? Walls, windows. Yes. That also looks fine. If we want to, we can invert it. Oh, no, sorry. It would need to be custom in order to do that. Which we still could do. We could add a custom. We could make it a right wall. No, because we want it to be custom, but subtype wall. We want it to be facing west. We'll remove the right wall that already exists here. Change this to wall window. -4 is fine, height is fine. But if we want, we could do like that to flip it. Doesn't really do much, but it is tech that we have if we wish. Actually, I think we want to be east align anyways. This is correct. Just do this to right wall. Yeah, east is the correct value. If we change to west, it actually looks much worse. Still cool. What if we change this to a regular wall? Oh, interesting. It makes the wall look less separated because the dark line that's usually kind of breaking them apart isn't there anymore. So it actually does break up the look of the wall. We should probably have multiple variations of these to help with that type of stuff. But if we want to do that kind of flip, it has to be custom instead of using the preset. I think that's fine though. That feels like a pretty usable version or functionality. Okay. Let's try some more stuff. What other props do we have? If we come into here, we can add a center prop for room decor. What do we got here? Wooden crate. That looks pretty good. front option. What if we added another crate in front? I'm going to assume this is going to look too close. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Can we do one in the back as a default position? Room decor, wooden box. Actually, not bad. That is going to clip into the wall a little bit, though. Which means that if this piece here ever moves, say grab here. Actually, because it doesn't actually extend all the way, they shouldn't actually collide. So that is a valid position. The thing that's a little odd, though, is it is quite heavily covering up this tile. So this tile probably should also be a wall with some sort of prop on it. Kind of neat. What if we did that in the front? That's actually pretty cool. Does that clip into the wall? No, that does not go back far enough that it should never have any issues when we load in. We can try though, so let's save. Give that a shot. Oh, but this one occasionally bumps into the one in front of it. So if that's the case, that crate there shouldn't be on 514. We should add it as a custom prop here. Do room decor, wooden crate, billboard, normal. Honestly, that looks pretty good there too. But then we can bring this... We can actually make some stuff that looks really unique. So we can't get it in the exact... Oh no, that is overlapping. We can't get it all the way to the right in the exact same position, but we can get it in behind it enough. Or maybe we can? I think that might be overlapping. So if we clear back option, yeah, that's in the same spot. Okay. See what they look like when they load in. Oh, I didn't hit raycast. I wonder if there's... Is the scene in requiring saving? Yeah. So that'll trigger the raycast. So we just didn't hit save. So that looks like it's kind of floating up a little bit until the other one comes in. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. There's no clipping. Nothing looks like it's passing through each other either. All right, let's continue. Next up. Potentially over here, let's try adding one of the candelabras. Excuse me, let's try front 50. Is that going to clip into the wall? Yes, I think that is a little too far back. Very hard to see. But if we look directly above, I think the wall will intersect it depending on how they appear. How does it actually look? Does it look like it's... Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's quite sitting in the space. So we might want a smaller variation of this, which I should be able to do that. So we have candelabra 50. Let's show that in Explorer. Aseprite. Bring it in. Let's bring it down a bit. down to 42. That should still be okay. Let's save as 42 candelabra PNG. We'll save that out. Then we just needed to come into here and do Demon Castle create tiles. Oh, we might run into a problem here. Better I caught it now. Nope, we're fine. If I populate options, I did not readjust the list in here, so this should be okay. That, I think, would have added my new version, so we should have another room decor 42. We add that, and that does not look like it's clipping in. Ooh, maybe it is. Oh, it's not, but there's just a bit of a hard edge here. It's actually the exact same as on this side. It just feels like it's... What if we just make that change? Yeah, now it feels less like a hard edge. Just having the Canda Fire be a little further out. And I don't think that should clip. We can give it a shot though and see. Nope, that looked okay to me. Very cool. Now let's add another one on this side. Center, I believe. Is that what we did for this one? No, we did front. So I guess if we were to bring this back to center, would that be... Yeah, that goes inside of it, just barely. Okay, so it does have to be front. Room decor. Candelabra. That also looks like it should be fine there. I feel like they feel a little odd floating in the room. I kind of wish that there was something else around it. I think the base is okay. We probably want some more random props around. What's our set pass calls like? Only 52 right now, but that'll go up pretty exponentially as we reveal more objects. $120 by the time we're exiting the room. And our frame rate's holding at like 70, but that's in editor. That'll like double once we get to a full build. I think we're still okay. Let's see what happens if I fully decor this room though. If we go to the back option, what's some small stuff we might be able to use? Maybe one of these round vases? No, they were originally UI icons. And I don't feel like at that size they would look great. What if we did back? Even if something that small clips into the wall a little bit at that position. So back can only be used if there's nothing behind it, I think. More for when we're doing forest scenes and we want to have a series of trees be the background or the cutoff point. Oh, didn't see Drixie's comments. Listen, I only shrink the candlestick just to get it so it wasn't clipping. And have I tried the table and accessories yet? I have not. To be fair, we do need to go find those. So let me go dig up those, because those were saved out as ASprite files rather than as PNGs. So they will need to be exported in order to be able to use them. Let's see, infinite retries, content, art. Dungeons. Demon Lord Castle? No. Props. Sprites. Demon Lord Castle. Table and chairs? Yeah, this A sprite file. Oh, let's do it this way. Closing all this down. Don't save. Reopen A sprite. Let's see, we've got a basic wooden table. We've got a table with the Royal Runner. I think that might be the only ones that didn't get saved out. I'm seeing a PNG in every other folder. Yeah, I think this might be the only one. Okay, and this one has 3 layers, one with the plant on top and one with like a book and a tome. So let's do all 3 of these. So we'll export as a PNG. First one, just Royal Runner table, which is 30. Oh, because there's so much extra room above it. Let's trim it down and then export. Oh, and then, yeah, that is an 18 now. That should be fine. Only visible layers, export. Good. And then undo this, and then we'll turn on the plant. We can bring this down a little bit. Need to make sure these values are always even. Otherwise our pixel perfect stuff breaks a bit. Export this one. This one becomes 26 Royal. We can just call it Royal Wooden Table. Maybe even just shorten it to Royal Table with plant. Sure. Yes. And then last we have this one, which can come down to 20. Export, rename, Royal Table 20 with book and bottle with book bottle. Sure, I don't think we have any issues with long names, so that should be okay. And then here we have just a basic wooden table, which we can also export. That looks fine. Cool. Now we'll come back into here. We'll create the tiles for those. Go to the top here, populate with the 4 new options that we have available to us. And let's see, maybe we'll add a table. Oh, right, this one's an ISO, so this one's meant to be from above, which is kind of hard to see, but it is helpful for when you're doing the wall stuff. For prop placement, I feel like it's going to be easier just to do some of these. So if we do a table and chairs, let's do with plant number 26. That is a little hidden in the corner there. Is not reading super well. So we could just do... don't think it's sun rays. Let's move the table over and start there. Table with plant. No issues with clipping. Little hard to read. Which maybe that means we want to create the tapestry here. We're going to need to modify the tapestry as well. So if we go red tapestry here, and we'll also open 30, copy this. Ooh, actually we'll do it this way. Copy this over to here. New layer below wall, like that. And then we will save this as a PNG. baking that into it, but that should be okay. Then if we choose this wall, and instead of the left wall being blank, we should be able to just use this red tapestry one, which helps break this up a little bit, but the table is still a little bit in the wrong spot. So I think what we want then is we want to maybe make this a custom prop. So we'll come into here, it's still going to be a billboard. We'll leave it as custom so that we can control its position. We'll do royal table. Normal seems fine. We'll clear this one. And then we'll move this away from the wall a bit. And then over here. So that that plant is a little bit more broken up with the banner. We could even overlap the tile a bit. This is gonna feel a little bit like the table's floating in space, but let's give it a shot. And if we do a front wooden crate, it does cover up a bit of the tapestry, but I kind of like the look of that. Let's add another left wall here with the tapestry. And then here we can add pillar, might be a bit much. Let's give that a try. I'm curious how this loads in. Oh, that's funny. You can load in the sun rays before the window. I don't mind that. I think this is feeling pretty good. Let's try adding a pillar here. I think this one's gonna clip. Let's add a custom pillar. Let's do this one here. Let's bring it forward a bit, so that it's basically as far forward as it can be. That might still have some issues. The other option is we put it behind the statue. For symmetry, we could also try doing a front candelabra here. Center, room decor. Wooden crate. that one doesn't work if you can't see the lid, because there's like a lid here, but it's not visible from that angle. Try it here. No, too short. You can just barely see a couple of pixels from it there. I guess we could try it in the back again. Yeah, still not reading super well. Could just do a regular box. Ooh, I would like to try a double box. The bottom of the pillar does look like it's colliding with the base of the statue a bit in the 2D view. Here? That's fair. Yeah, from like a perspective standpoint, like it would make this feel like an extremely thin object. Yeah. Gotcha. Good call. Good eye. Let's see. If I still wanted to have a pillar in this corner, we could add it here instead. Let's clear this one. And then we need to bring it all the way forward. But I think we're going to run into the same problem. Yeah, because it clips with the wall here. So that might just be that we need a smaller pillar. Put like 2 smaller pillars here or something. Either that or we just put boxes in behind. I'm not sure what else. I do like the shadowing on that actually. I feel like boxes are becoming the bush of this zone. I just put it everywhere. It's so easy. Yeah, they had a lot of boxes here. I think the headcanon me and Drixie said was this was going to be like a storage room. And I think I'm getting that. I'm mostly just having fun now. Very cool. I wanted to do... Sorry, I saw the comment and I got a little distracted, but if we come back into wooden... Not wooden table. Let's go to room decor, open wooden crate. Nope. Regular wooden crate. Let's bring this up a bit. Can I stack these? Might need Drixie to edit it. That's probably fine. Yeah, because it's a bit small anyways. That's an even number, 30. Let's export that. That becomes 30 wooden crate. 2 wooden crates. Okay, that's correct. Come back in here. Create those as props. Populate options. Okay. Now if we come back into the scene, I think this one... Oh, I put it on 212. This one in the back could be a double. Same thing here with this 113. I think this can also be a double. Yeah, this is starting to feel very cluttery. I like that. That is what we are going for here. This was back on 210. Might be a bit much. Let's go with that. I want to give it a shot. Let's see. Okay. So is there anything we can put, like, maybe here? Would it make sense to have a pillar in this spot? It might block the player's view a little bit of their own character, but I think that's okay. Oh, is that what we're doing? Oh, if we undo, it doesn't delete the prop. That's how we get into this state. Okay. I think I can fix that. I think there's a register undo action that we can set up. Ooh, that adds a really nice shadow across the room. Oh, we did not hit save. Oh, that's unfortunate. You couldn't see it with the wall in the way, but when we have the tiles load in, this does look like it's overlapping a little too heavily. Thank you, Amorphous, for the hydrate, and I hope you have a good day. Oh, yeah, I see that. Magnus. Yeah, the shadow here on the window doesn't really work, because it should be bringing light in. I didn't even notice that shadow. I was so excited about this one. We also get a little bit of shadow on these light rays, which is a bit odd as well. I should be able to fix that though. We'll have to reload the prefab. But if we come into here and click on Sprite Renderer, I bet you we can turn off shadows. We'll have to go into debug mode, because I turned off cast shadows, but we should also turn off receive shadows. Okay. And then we come back into this one, 414. We have to go back into normal mode to get our good UI. And then we will just do that. Still looks like it's receiving shadows. But it's not. I guess it's just the transparency of it. Yeah. It's because this is slightly transparent, so we're seeing some of the shadow in behind. Okay, so shadows plus the god rays aren't really working, but that's why we just kind of threw them together very quickly. So our options are moving the window out of the shadow. For this one, I guess we can maybe just adjust this slightly. So if we come into here, instead of using a standard center, we can add a custom prop for sun rays, normal billboarding, get rid of the base one so that we don't see both at the same time, bring it more to the right. But if we bring it far enough to not be in the shadow, it kind of clips out of the wall. We could do something like that to get it outside the shadow. As for this one, the only other option I think is to move the pillar or move the whole window. And And then we run into the same problem here, where this one probably needs to be set up the same. So what were the parameters on this one? 1 and -2. Add custom prop. 1 and -2. Clear this one. Multi-editing weirdness. Okay. Ooh. Cobwebs could be a good idea. Okay. So the pillars definitely feel like they're cutting off our space a little too much, in my opinion. We can kind of see Hero slightly. I mean, obviously the action point bar gives us an indication that Hero is there, but... Oh, we never saved. I really like the shadows they cast across the environment, though. Oh, we do also completely cut off the intro with the lightning bolts. Oh, and we've also made it so it's impossible to see this area now because of the way that we've stacked the boxes. These also look like they're overlapping too much. We saw that. Maybe we could try having a bunch of wooden crates here. That won't look like it's overlapping, but it will feel like they're all stacked up. That's pretty good. Okay. It feels very unsatisfying to not be able to fill in every aspect of the ground, though. So what I think I might do is I might shift this candelabra over. Clear this one. Save that out and see if that's enough to give us a sight. I don't think it will be, though. No, we're still one tile off. Okay. What if we made this walkable so you can walk in behind the crates? That's not gonna look right. Oh, save? Yeah, it would need to be much further forward and potentially even be flat in order for that to make sense. Okay. Oh, but did it actually let me reveal the last corner? Or would I need to stand where that pillar is in order to kind of get that effect? It did let me stand... Okay, yeah, because we see two forward. Okay, so then I'm going to get rid of this box as much as I like the stacked up look. Just so that you can walk up there if you choose. I'm going to drop these pillars though. And we're going to add maybe some more boxes here. To give us a similar kind of like little crate, but not the same. Considering moving the 210 pillar. Moving the pillar to 210 so that it's spaced one from the wall like the rightmost pillar. Then we go back into the same problem of not being able to reveal the last few pieces, which isn't required for this tutorial section, but aesthetically I do agree with you. I think I'm just going to scrap this one though for more boxes, And I might even do that for the corner pillar. As much as I like them in here, I like the height they bring, though. Let's try it. Try stuff. Okay, the not saving thing is killing me. I think this is coming together, though. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think that it, considering all of the work we put into the prop editor and everything, I definitely feel like this feels like a space. Yeah, this feels like a room that you have some storage in. Mostly crates is what we're filling it out with right now, but I think that's working for us. Ooh, don't like standing on these light rays. Normally when they're so far forward, they're in front of Hero's feet. I guess they can come back to where they were now. Not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to try it. -3, -3, and 3 high. Drixie wasn't sold on these. Drixie thought the God Rays weren't very good. It was something she whipped up very quickly, but I was like, no, we should try it. And I don't dislike the effect it creates. I think it's just going to be tricky to kind of have it feel like Hero's standing with them. I feel like that's better. I feel like it makes more sense for Hero to be within the God Rays at this point, opposed to standing in front of them. And the snapping when Hero like pops in front of them, I don't think looks too bad either. Relatively clear where I can go and where I can't go. Even with the wall in behind here, it's like, yeah, there's some crates here. I can't move that way. I like the shadows being projected across the floors from these taller boxes. Hero gets a little bit of it, but not too much. I love the dynamicness of just a little bit of shadows across Hero. We're not going to make this a full 2D HD game, but even just having the shadows, I think, adds so much to the spaces. We still have timer set to way too much, or it's way too low. It's basically set to default. I like the way this plant is feeling here against all the red. It could maybe be a little greener to make it pop a bit more. And I even don't hate the way it is when the God Rays are just floating in space before you reveal the window. It just feels like you can't see the thing yet. Well, hello there, Raiders. Thank you, Irish John Games, for the 62 party. I probably can't keep up with that level of chat. That is a bit more than I'm used to, but I will try to read. Hope everyone's having a good day. We are just working on building out some maps for our video game. Just finished getting kind of a prop builder up and running this past weekend, and we're just kind of placing some props. In fact, I think we're getting pretty close with this room. This is feeling pretty good to me. Let's... Is there any props that we're not using that Drixie has made? We could maybe put another table over here. Not necessary, though. Let's give that a shot. Yeah, I'm liking the way that's feeling. Oh, we didn't actually save the table every time. I suppose I should do the thing. Turgus says this looks great. Thank you. I've been working on this with my wife Trixie for about 4 years. Technically, it was a different game for the first 2 years called Era of Embers, which was more of a traditional like Final Fantasy VI type experience. But we've slowly been moving more towards, well, in the past, so 2 years working on Era of Embers, and then we realized that the scope of that game was just too large, so we shifted gears and started working on what the second title here, which is what we're actively looking at, called Infinite Retries to Defeat the Demon Lord. It's meant to be kind of complicated, or it's okay, so it's meant to be low scope, but it just keeps getting scope crept. So if we come take a look at core, the idea here is that we are playing a JRPG, but it's framed around doing runs like a roguelike. So we start with Infinite Retries to Defeat the Demon Lord. We will pause the background music, turn on the game audio. And it's kind of around like the isekai theme. So we're coming into kind of the goddess realm here. Hero is being resurrected by the goddess. I need to do another dialogue pass, but essentially the goddess is telling Hero that there's not enough time, hands us something. Am I about to be reborn? I'll explain for when you return. For now, just keep moving forward, Hero. And then we kind of like resurrect here in like a forest area that has not been fully built out. We have a bit of tutorialization around unlocking some of the UI. This is an area that we're playing with some of the props. Oh, none of the props are loading right now because of the refactor we've done on the prop editor this weekend. Yeah, I haven't touched any of these scenes for a couple of days. We unlock our first ability. We'll go with shoot because I think it looks the coolest right now. We end up moving through these spaces, finding ourselves our first slime, which we can then proceed to fight. So I can hit the enemy with my ranged attack, it comes forward, and I can essentially kite it forever. And eventually we can kill this thing, or we end up dying ourselves. And as you progress, you slowly reveal the world, and eventually I'm going to debug end time. We run out of time in turns, and you end a run. You go back to the goddess realm, and you are basically going to get a little bit of tutorialization. There's a little bit of this Hades kind of narrative thing, where every time you come back here, the goddess will talk to you a little bit more about things. None of the props are loading in this room, which again makes sense. And then you can level up your skills here. Each skill has its own skill tree. And when you unlock new skills, they themselves have new skill trees, which allow you to continue to upgrade and unlock new skills which have more skill trees. And as you work your way through these skill trees, you'll also gain access to more stat improvements, as well as general improvements to the abilities themselves. So like Bash right now has an example of like increasing the power of the ability. So if I come down here, power will increase from 10 to 25. And then if we go back out, we can do another run. And each run has a fixed map. So we're working our way through the world, but it's not a it's not procedural. It's like based off runs, but instead of it being like every time you start anew, it's like you're trying to get further. So as you upgrade your stats, gain access to more abilities and experience, you'll be able to eventually get strong enough that you'll be able to reach the next checkpoint, represented by goddess statues. And when you reach another goddess statue, you'll be able to checkpoint there, and then on future runs you can choose to start at that next checkpoint. So it's kind of meshing like a dungeon crawl experience where you're slowly exploring and expanding the world, but every so often you're going to end up dying and you'll have to come back and remake progress again. Can't remember what the combo is again. It's been a while. But also each enemy has like certain weaknesses that they're weak against. So if you perform slash and bash in the right order, you can kind of do critical damage that slowly increases the power of each attack. So different enemies will have different combos of abilities that they're weak against. Slash... is it bash again? Yeah, bash is the final one. So these slimes are weak against bash, slash, and then bash again. But we ran out of time, so we head back to the Goddess Realm. And each time you use an ability, you get a little bit of experience. It's not very well like polished. I still need to do more work on actually getting it so that the experience is showing up well. But yeah, and then we can see I've gained 2 skill points properly. I was kind of debugging through the menu before, and I can unlock more stats, which will increase my damage. Because I was doing like 6 or 7, but after I debug unlocked a bunch of stats, I was like 3 hitting enemies there. That's kind of it. That's where we're at. Like I said, been 4 years technically with all the tech we've been working on for all the combat RPG stuff, all of the skill trees. But in terms of like the last 2 years, really just focusing on trying to get like the tile-based map stuff in. A lot of time spent getting this thing pixel perfect. If it wasn't clear before, a lot of this stuff is all 3D with like billboards. And so getting it so that when my wife Trixie draws a sprite, that sprite is exactly how that sprite is drawn by her, and there is no like loss of any pixels. I don't know, that took a really long time. Anyways, that's the pitch. Thanks. So many people stuck around. I feel like I thought raid was going to come and then everyone was going to disperse, but there's so many people still here. Appreciate it. Listen to my rambles. Yeah, so right now we're trying to change the framing. So what we just saw was the current like flow of the experience. I'd like to make it so that the very first time that you go through and do your very first run after the goddess sends you down, instead of sending you to the forest, I want to have her send you here to the Demon Lord's castle, where you, on your very first run, get introduced to a couple of like concepts that aren't going to come up again. And I wanted to do it here, that way it's not like teaching the player that you are like going to get abilities or unlock skills in this like essentially we want the player to be able to choose between slash, shoot, and bash, but after that every ability for the rest of the game is unlocked through the skill tree. And so rather than have you unlock that first ability through the forest area where you might start to think that that's how it's normally going to be, I'd like to have it be here in the Demon Lord's castle, so it's more of a unique experience, so that we don't set an expectation of how abilities are unlocking permanently. Okay, I'm happy with this space, and in general I'm happy with the editor as it's currently sitting. I think I might want to refactor some stuff, but I'd like to move on to another map. So we've got Demon Castle Room TO1. Let's make the next room, which is meant to be a hallway towards the treasure room, which is going to be the ultimate goal of the tutorial. So let's start by save asing this scene as a new variation of itself. So we're going to go in infinite retries, content, scenes, dungeons, Demon Castle, and we're going to make this tutorial 02. We're going to save that. This will look identical to start with here. we're going to save this and raycast the room, which is going to generate a ton of props and assets for us. We're going to come into, under content, design data, dungeons, we're going to come into here. I need to fix this, but it's so minor that I have not got around to it, but this should auto-generate this addressable ID, but it doesn't. We're going to come in here, we're going to add this new scene as a new open scene so that we can transition between them. We're going to probably going to need to have a transition from where we came from. So we're going to want to transition from this side of the map. We're going to clear the whole props, I think. Let's just clean slate, clear everything, make sure options are populated, and then regenerate all the prop icons. We're going to also modify the global scene checker so that when we spawn in, we want to spawn in on this side over here. Let's go grab a example of that from the forest. TO3 has a entrance on that side, so we'll come here, steal the west entrance, come back to dungeons, castles. Let's regenerate. Have Unity do a reload after regenerating the scene files. And then we can come into here, Demon Castle, TO2, load back in, and then we can paste this west entrance in. Must be underneath the room 01 so that all of my tooling works. And then we're just grabbing these tiles, shifting them over. We need to update the location. So instead of going to IT Forest room TO2, we should go to select asset, this room. I believe this should be the name that we're going to need. So we're going to TO1. We're going to be entering in through an east entrance. Everything else here remains the same. And this one, same thing. This one is going to be west entrance 01 for our entity system. That's good. Let's see. This is a east entrance. We'll copy that, but I don't think we should need to. Let's go back to Dungeons Castle TO1. Let's come into here and let's make it so this transitions to that new room that we just set up. TO1 is now going to go to TO2. Save that. And in theory, we should be able to walk between rooms. The new room will be mostly empty and will need to be art decoed, but like, that should be it. Unless I forgot something. Thanks, Irish John, for the raid, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. How are we doing on time? Coming up on 2 hours. But I still feel good. Normally we do a 2-hour stream, but with so many people watching, might as well keep going. We did forget something. What did we forget? Ah, yes. We forgot to parse the floor. So let's do TO2. We generated this. That's going to, by default, make a texture for us up inside of the art folders. So under content art, dungeons, Demon Castle, it made a TO2 floor map, essentially. We need to do a parse. So we'll do Demon Castle and then run the room parser, which will generate a final variation of it. And then we'll just test loading up in here. Without this file, it can't load the floor texture, which causes everything to break. Okay, that worked. Don't need the lightning beam in this room. And instead of loading into the revive entrance, we should instead come into the east entrance. Where's my scene gone? This one. We'll spawn here at West 01 by default. Okay, let's load that up. Okay, can we go back? Loads out. Loads in. And if we walk back this way, loads out. Loads back in. And that's a new room built. Cool. Let's build it. So, the idea here is that we want to try and create the experience that you're exiting like a storage room area and then coming out into like a hallway. If that's the case, I'm probably going to want to have walls starting on this side immediately. And I think I'm probably going to want to have them go all the way around the outside. Let's just start there and see... Ooh, even before that, Drixie made me a cool new asset that we can try. So in order so that we're not just looking at a blank floor for the entire rest of this creation, let's open up that work in progress variation of the floor. We'll have to restamp this a couple of times as we modify the geometry. But if we come up here to art, world, level geo, nope, not the Blender, dungeon floors, castle floor. Drixie made me this really large floor space that I should be able to just go in here, copy. I think I want to make a new layer, paste this in, then from this selection, select the bottom piece, copy the floor, and then paste it? Nope. Wait, maybe I can just invert selection. Sure, that's probably good enough. So we'll save that. We'll run daemon castle room processor. That should regenerate the floor again so that TO2 gets converted into a version that can be viewed from the camera angle such that everything is pixel perfect. And now we have a floor. Oh, we did not... Right, okay. That's fine. That's still better. Still better than what we had before. We got double music playing. Let's go into game scene and mute it. This scene is not ISO camera, so we can move more easily. I'm thinking we'll probably go here, drag this block over. This is how I build my levels, essentially, is I have this little grid of blocks, and when I say raycast the scene before, essentially I'm just raycasting down and finding anything that's floor, and if it's floor, I generate a texture and I generate all of our level data at that point. I think I might want there to be a little bit of a hallway leading in to the main section. Probably keep it 3 wide. So then we'll grab this cube, copy it, bring it forward, and then extend it on both sides. Or just extend it and move it over. Okay, raycast the space. Dun dun. Let's change up the background. Simmering chaos. Okay. I think that's feeling about right. Let's go full screen as much as possible. So we'd have walls coming in here, and then walls coming along this edge and along this edge. Maybe have like a door or something on this side to indicate there's other exits. I think I want to exit out on this side here. And I probably want the hallway to continue this way, but block it off with props so you can't traverse that direction to start with. Sure. So we'll grab this. We'll move this over to midway down the hallway. And then we will grab this and pull it over. Because you won't be able to get over here, it's fine and can be as long as it wants. And then I think I want this to be a little wider here. And in general, I might want this to be a little bit more grand, so we can grab this part and bring it over a bit more too. That's probably good enough. Let's go into room. I need to turn this into a button at some point, but let's overwrite the work in progress texture and then raycast the environment again. And let's re-grab that floor. We will close this and reopen it. Okay, so that's our new floor. So we will copy this. How do I do this? So I think I want to select the bottom layer and then copy. No. Why is it not? Ooh. Then copy here? No, it's grabbing the whole texture. I would think that if I have my selection here, I click this, and then I select the bottom layer, I should be on this layer now, and if I hit copy... Oh, I do get it. Oh, I wonder what I did different. That has our piece slightly misaligned with the bricks, which is probably... No, it's going to annoy me. Okay, so let's bring back in this one. I did it once. I should be able to do it again. Let's move this layer. Ooh, can I see the rugs? I can see the rugs. We'll add a rug later. I'm not going to worry about trying to line that up. I would like to line this up such that the edge of a tile lines up pretty closely with the edge of our floor. It won't be exact, but the brick edges should be closer. Yeah, let's do that. We'll use this for our floor. So then if I turn this off, click here, and then I think I hit copy and then paste. And then if I come over here, nope, still didn't work. Copy. Okay, magic wand, select the top layer. There's my selection. Turn that off, select the bottom layer. Copy that, paste that, and then line this up like that. Save that out. And then I'm going to see if I can steal one of the rugs that Trixie made here. Because we're probably going to want one running down this section and maybe even down the other section as well. So if we grab that, just the rug, add a new layer, and then paste that in here. Oh, I messed something up. I'm sorry, chat. We're gonna have to do that one more time. Let's see. I need to actually have this block here for the exit, because if we don't have this exit, we're gonna have to redo the whole floor anyways. And I didn't see it until just now. But we should be able to line this up here. And then we likely want to grab just a little bit more. To be fair, this is my first time using this new system. Before, we were just kind of living with the kind of white texture. But I think I've got it. open recent, copy this, come to this layer, delete its contents, deselect, delete its contents, paste the room here, line it up with the tiles as best I can, so it feels like it's kind of within the area of the bricks, at least on most sides. Deselect everything. Select layer 3, magic wand, turn this off, come down here, select here, copy it, paste it, perfect. Learning. That lines up perfectly over the floor texture that we want. And then I'm going to grab this rug again and we're going to bring that back in. And I realize this because I'm going to want to have this run outside the room. This one here. Select the rug, copy, paste. Okay. Paste. Sure. So we can have this rug running down this way. We can have this rug running down here. And then later, Drixie can set it up so that this is actually aligned. And then I think I'd like one more of these running down the opposite hallway. Yeah, if I paste it once in the previous file before coming back over here, it seems like it works better. That doesn't quite feel center. Sure. Again, this can be cleaned up later. This is just meant to be a placeholder. So that's been saved. We can come back in here, reload the floor one more time through my processor. If we spell castle correctly. And then we should see that floor. Appreciate all the follows, folks. Yep, and that's that floor we just made loading in while also looking like a weird mess, but looks perfect when we actually walk around tile by tile. Perfect. And that's gonna break. Oh no, that took us to Force TO5 because that was whatever was set up on that transition from before. Okay, let's start adding walls. This is kind of the next big test for our map editor. Let's build a second room and make sure it still works pretty well. So we're going to select all of these. Then we're going to select all of these. These ones. And these ones. Open up the editor window. These are going to be away from the player. Partly. Let's start with 30 high and just see how that looks. Add walls. 30 high. And then for our decal option, we'll just give them all wall tops. And 30 high so they all pop right up. Yeah, initially I think I like these being maybe 20 high instead. So walls, 20 high bricks, so they're a little shorter, allowing the player to see their character a little bit more easily as they walk in, and then we'll lower the walls to match. Feels a bit off to me. These will all be 30 on this side. So walls, 30. Top, 30 pixels high, Oh, these are all facing east, mostly. Did I miss this one? I did. Oh, actually, this is going to be an inverse corner piece. Oh, it's even right. And then this one is a regular corner facing north. Okay, let's see that in action. This is still all under the room. It is, so that should be raycasting properly. Let's hit play and see how that looks. I don't love it. Zoom in. This section here feels off to me. This is our first time kind of running into a drop down like this, I guess. Did we not run into this in the previous room? No, I guess not, because the very first time that we have like a drop from 1 to 2 is in this corner. But because this is coming from the player's perspective, we need to have the drop sooner. But we're going to have this effect at some point regardless. Because whether we put it here or here, we're going to have a kind of slope down. Maybe Drixie could help me draw like an angle to this section or something? Or maybe this one is supposed to be angled down in some way? It's going to be tricky. I think we can figure it out though. This immediately feels way more like a hole though. Cool. Let's make it feel even more compressed. I kind of like that aspect of this. So these probably need to be too high, is my gut. Like so, and then we'll do wall, top, and then 20 high. And then these ones going off into infinity. Let's try doing 30 again. Again, we're going to get into a weird kind of like perspective thing. As these kind of like clip over each other. Then over on this side, these ones will be too high. I feel like I might want to make the wall textures easier to click on, or maybe in their own folder, because I feel like I'm like still too much clicking. Or maybe I want to have like a default option of like generate walls, and I can have the default props I want for the walls at the top level. I mean, this isn't that much work. It just feels a little too tedious, like it could still be improved a little bit from a user perspective. And we'll do that. Cool. Let's save that and see how that's looking. It's still way faster than it was even on Friday, which is nice, but I'm always trying to improve the tooling. Let's maximize. Okay. I don't mind it at all. unlockable characters with the hydration. Appreciate you as always. Okay, well, let's start decoing it with props now. I'm gonna start by, like, the rug runs right up to here. Let's do this live. Might be easier. I'll have to save it all out as a prefab in order to keep any of the edits that we make, but it'll still be easier to see stuff. So we'll zoom in a bit. Oh, in order to do this, I'm going to need to make a small couple of edits. We're going to need to bring this outside of the room so it doesn't get disabled. And we're going to set this to debug no props so that it doesn't actually bring in the walls anymore. And then with wall temp pass prefab, which is basically our prop editor, outside of the space, it'll all load in. If we're doing that, we probably should debug spawn all for the room so we can just see the whole thing. So I like the idea of these rooms here, or these walls here, matching up with the rug kind of coming to a window potentially. Either that or like a large doorway. We don't have one of those yet, so let's just do windows for the time being. Left side wall, walls, windows. This corner, center aligned, room decor, maybe tables and chairs. Let's do another plant here. I feel like we want something tall in this back corner. The pillars might be a little too much though. Yeah, that feels a little too tall. Ion Master popping in, first time chatter. I got a small question if anyone wouldn't mind me giving an input, any input. What's the question? I don't know if we have another prop that fits here. The only other thing that really feels tall enough to be seen over the wall is going to be crates, but I don't really want to keep that aesthetic out into this room. Because we used a lot of the crates in the previous room because we were trying to create a more of a storage room feel. We might need more props. That's fine, that's why we're doing this. Alright, well, let's make do with what we can. We can at least do the far side really easily. And because I switched rooms, we lost a little bit of the progress, so better I did that now than in a few minutes. Ion Master asking, how do you like figure out how big to make the game window? I feel like that's a good idea to figure out early on. It is a super good idea. So I'm doing 640 by 360 personally, mostly because that scales up to very specific resolutions that are fairly common. You don't really want to like scale to resolutions that are going to cause any, if you're doing pixel art specifically, you're going to cause your game to look weird. If you're not doing pixel art, I have less advice for you. I'm sorry. I'm not as familiar with like the decision points around that. But I know if you're doing any kind of pixel stuff, 640 by 360 or half of that is going to be good. Mostly because mostly because then I can use that to figure out how big to make assets, because I can't actually code yet. No, it's fair. That was like the first thing I spent several months on, was just kind of going through and figuring out how big to make everything. And to be honest, it still took me a very long time to get it to look the way that it looks now. A lot of my assets are mostly kind of driven by my resolution, so that's also fair. I'm trying to think if like there's a generic answer to be given, but I can't think of one that would be super helpful. What I will say is that like like gotchas to keep an eye out for is also, you might want to look into pixels per unit if you're doing anything with sprites, because that'll determine a little bit of your resolution of your pixels. It kind of scales it. There's some good Unity articles. That's one of the things I started with very early on, was doing a lot of research into pixels per unit and trying to figure out what I wanted for that. I then switched into doing this like 3D 2D look, and I don't know if this even does anything anymore. I haven't played with those numbers in a couple of years, but like if you're doing anything with like flat 2D, it can be really important to get those numbers right. Sadly, I don't have anything more specific that I can help with. Let's see, we can put this one here. Let's do 1, 2 between here. Another 2 gap, and then this one. And we will change the right walls to have banners on them. Red tapestries. That looks good. And then in front of each tapestry, could we do another one of those tables? We could do table and chairs and just royal runner. I kind of want them flipped the other way, which in order to do that, we're going to have to add it as a custom prop, which I think is fine. And then we can flipped. That's center, so that'll be -2, -2. We'll match the center. Maybe we want it a little bit more to the left, -3. Sure, I don't mind that. Yeah, I'm always down to answer questions about Unity stuff, though. Tends to not be something that comes up, funnily enough, mostly because a lot of the folks who hang out are old Tolhi fans from back in like the day from like the Minecraft Let's Plays and things. But there's not always a ton of questions that come around, but I am always open to trying to help where I can. I guess I maybe should have done this before more people rolled out from the raid, but just a little bit of background into me. I've been working in video games for about 15 years, started as a software engineer, and then have been moving into tech design. So I've got information to share, knowledge. Now, whether or not it's the best knowledge, that's debatable. I've definitely hacked my way to success in a number of, well, not hacked, but like a lot of prototyping over the years. I don't know. I like to put myself down. I have like 15 years experience. I know how to do some stuff. What if let's try changing out this one for the table and plant again. But now it's flipped. That's kind of neat. I don't mind that. We can have one empty. Maybe we just space them out a little bit. We'll do this one with the plant. Wrong one. And then maybe we keep this one empty. And then this one here, maybe we could do the books. Interestingly, the book doesn't read as well, I don't find, without when it's flipped. If we go back to normal, that looks better. Interesting. Maybe what we do then is we bring this one back to being a plant one, flip it again, and then come over here and modify this one, number 314, and change this one out from the plant one to the book one, because it's not going to be flipped and it feels more like nested in the corner. Sure. And then in here, let's try a, ooh, maybe it's right. Well, no, it's probably going to be center. We're going to do a fence, and we're going to do front red sash. No, I got it wrong. Fence, it's going to be the back one here. Then we get a metal one. Middle. Fence middle, and then here. Now it's front, which doesn't even really show up, but as we move through the space, we'll reveal tile by tile, so it is possible for that to be seen. Cool. This feels like it should also be a banner to keep the symmetry, but that might feel a little weird on this far wall. This will be the right side. Walls, tapestries, and tables and chairs. Basic wooden table. Yeah, I feel like I'm running out of props. We could also just do like a candelabrum. Not loving that. Let's leave that for now. Let's try the chandelier thing. So that's something that we had this neat idea for yesterday, but I don't know if it's gonna look good. I'm curious for people's thoughts, because I think it looks neat, but Trixie wasn't 100% sure. That's gonna need to be a custom prop, and I'm not 100% sure on the spot we're gonna be putting it either. This might not be the right tile to make it look good. But if we do a chandelier, custom billboard, and then we raise its height up. Which tile did we put that on? It's relatively center. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it's really hard to tell. What was it? It was 5'5". So it is in the middle of the hallway. Yeah, that's the wrong spot to try and put that. I wanted to put it in the middle, but then we end up getting the line of it cutting down through. But the idea is that we could have this like hanging somewhere. Maybe we try putting it here at the end of the hallway here. So we'll clear this one, and then we'll zoom back in, and maybe we'll try it even on like a little closer to the wall. See if that makes it work. Add prop, custom, room decor, chandelier, raise the height up. Yeah, we have to raise it pretty high for it to look okay though. It's not bad. The shadows definitely make it feel a little weird to me, but that is just kind of the angle of our like sun. I'd like to try and do directional point lights in here, but I tried it last night and it definitely wasn't easy. For whatever reason, the way that we've done shadows, it only seems to work with directional lights. Yeah, it's neat. I don't know. Not sold though. I feel like it's like missing some depth to it to like help anchor it, because it's like floating. Like maybe if we had like a little shadow on the ground, but then that doesn't really make sense because it's a lantern. But like for flying enemies, we put a little like circle shadow underneath so that we can see where they are in terms of height. Yeah, I don't think it's working. We'll continue playing with it. What if we put some Candelebrums here. Ooh, that's clipping in front. Or in the middle. I think we discovered that these need to be centered. Or sorry, not center, front aligned. Yeah, that feels weird too. Maybe we try putting these along this edge. I'm going to try doing a couple of them at once. We'll do center, room decor, candelabrum. Don't like this one, but the other ones maybe? Hard maybe. I don't know. They're not exactly reading like perfectly. I wouldn't normally be able to walk on them either. What about one here? Clipping. Kind of blocking the window a little too much. Yeah, so we're missing props that can fit under the front wall. Oh, we're half an hour over time. Is there anything else I wanted to show on stream before we call it today? I don't think so. Still got 18 people hanging out today, which is a significant more number than we normally get. But at the same time, whatever. We'll keep going. Oh, we'll go until folks give up, I suppose. Although, yeah, because I've got nothing going on for the next couple hours. We had a good lunch. We took our lunch break, so. The problem just is that, like, I don't feel like we have quite enough props, but at the same time, I'm not sure what I need to ask Drixie for in terms of more pieces. Because I'm just, like, I really like the boxes in the previous room, but for this hallway, like, this is working really well too. I like the tapestries, I like the little tables with props on them. It definitely gives me this kind of, like, majestic castle vibe, which is what we're trying to go for with the Demon Lord's castle. But it's missing something. If we remove the center one, does that improve the balance of this space? Yeah, that looks less cluttered to me now. And then what if we put another one somewhere like here? We get shadows on the window, which has been called out as a little weird. If we made this custom, or even if we just made it a front option. Oh, that actually makes it a little worse. Yeah, can't quite get it. What if I... This doesn't work because, again, we can't hide things like this permanently because as you walk forward, the tiles reveal one at a time, so you will see it. All right. All right. Let's try this. Let's bring it in and try it for real and see what it looks like as we move around. We might catch some weirdness that way. We're going to drag this in here, make a new prefab out of it. We'll hit stop. We'll delete this one, replace it with this one, prefab, unpack completely, drag this under the room, hit save, which will raycast our environment and generate all our props for us. And then we do need to also disable a couple of the debugs. So inside of board, we need to disable debug no props and spawn all. And we should be able to see how this works as we actually walk through the space. I actually really like the way that feels. That seems great. Maybe I'm over cluttering. When looking at it from a bird's eye view, it felt empty, probably partly because of this long corridor that goes nowhere. But seeing it in action, I don't mind that as much. Yeah, I don't mind that as much at all. Maybe this is good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I did forget about the rolled up rugs, so maybe we could add a couple of those. It's so satisfying just filling everything in. Let's create some fades as well. So we're gonna do a decal, exit, fade. We need to flip it around to be south facing like so. And then we're going to make this walkable, not wall. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one, copy that. Then we're going to copy this one and move it all the way down here. This one probably west? No, I was wrong, east. And then copy that and paste it over here. Save so it re-imports everything, and we should see those fades on the exits. Yep. Perfect. I mean, that's a hallway. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that's another room complete. We need one more for this tutorial area. I suppose we could just get that done now. At least get it set up. We're gonna save as. We'll do it again. When did folks raid? The raid from Irish John came in around almost exactly an hour ago. Because that's when there was the follows as well, which were, some of these were 59 minutes. So it took us about an hour to construct a level. Because I feel like we started talking about the whole game and giving a rundown of how everything works. And then after we did that rundown, we started by making this new floor, or this new room. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Alright, so we'll save this out as TO3, save. Let's clear everything, I think is always going to be a good idea. Just start from scratch. Regenerate. Save. We're going to save the scene. Make sure we raycast. We're going to go look for the dungeon asset. We're going to rename it. This is all art. We need to go down into our design data stuff. In here, we need to give this one an addressable ID, TO3. We're going to add this scene to our build settings, add open scene, good. Let's build the base floor layout. So we're going to come in from this side. So we're going to add a little exit directly on the opposite side of where the previous room was. So this is where we'll be entering. We need to grab an entrance. So we're going to go to, let's generate the new scene level. And we're going to go to Forest, TO2. I think we'll have one on this side. Dungeons, Forest, TO2. We're going to take the north entrance here. We're going to go to Scenes, Dungeons, TO3. We're going to paste this in here. We're going to drag it under the room so that it actually parses correctly. We're going to grab all these tiles and we're going to drag them up into position. So this is where the character will enter from. We're going to change the transition tiles to go to select asset. This is going to go to TO2. And this is going to go to TO2. And those should be south entrances if they were set up correctly. We'll go back over there, go to TO2. This is going to go to TO3, and this is going to go to TO3, and those should be north. These should be south, and they match, so that should all be fine. We can go back over to TO3. We will need to regenerate the floor. We'll just do the white floor for now. I'm not going to worry about building out the floor until I'm happy with the actual 3D geo. So we're going to run the room processor, which is slightly behind my head here, but it's just a script that's converting the image. We need to change the global scene to start from this entrance, South 1. So if we're loading this globally and not from another scene, this is the spawn entity we want to use. Oh, didn't like that. What was the error? Spawn player. It failed to find that ID that we gave it. Spawn tile. North 01. What did I click on the first time? Okay, I clicked on the wrong one. That's fine. Honestly, we've been pretty error-free for the last little while. And if we go back out, this should take us to our hallway we just built. And it does. And then we can walk back out this way again. Oh, we have some start reveal tiles still set up on that previous room. I want to fix that. Start reveal tiles are mostly for when we spawn in to make sure a certain range around us is all in place. And when we copied this from the previous room, I did not delete any of the start reveal indicators. Oh, they're turned off. Interesting. That means that those do not respect the activity of the object. Huh. Super weird. Those are still turning on by default. Wouldn't be any of these. It's not going to be any of the entrance points. Huh. Really weird. We could try deleting the asset and regenerating it from scratch, but... yeah, all of these are appearing right as we enter, and they definitely shouldn't be. And the same thing's happening in the next room over. That might be it. You might have to give it an object, and if it didn't have an object, it probably wouldn't rerun the render or the raycast. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, well, how's this feel if it's actually coming in one by one now? Still good. In fact, probably a little bit better. Dun, dun, dun. No. Oh, too intense. Too ticky. Sure, we'll listen to Aged Oak for a little while. Alright. So that's the transitioning in and out, and fixed a little bug with the revealing. Let's go back over here and fix that issue here as well. So we're going to go under the start reveal. Even though these are disabled, it's still treating them as on. That's fine. And that should be fixed now. What do we want the geometry of this space to look like? So the idea here, the last one was like a hallway. For this, we want this to feel like a grand entranceway. No, sorry, not a grand entranceway, into a... This is supposed to feel like a large, like, vault or treasure hall. So I think I like the idea of the room expanding, maybe not to its full size, but relatively large in size. Larger than the previous rooms. A lot of open space. A lot of windows. I do want to keep some level of consistency in the spacing though. So if we had a walls here, I don't really think it makes sense for there to be windows on this side. So still windows over here, I think. Or yeah, this would be the first time showing windows on this side, but I think that might be okay because we think about the previous hallway had windows on this side, but nothing here. And the storage room had a window on that side, then this might be the right side of the castle. Then we're coming around and this is on the maybe left side. Maybe there was more over this way, but this is kind of shooting out a little bit. Yeah, I think this could work. So windows along this edge. How big is too big is maybe the question here. What would this feel like? So if we filled this all in with rooms, or sorry, with walls, that'll keep the outer edge a little bit further in. We could even bring a wall out into the center a bit in order to kind of make it so the space is like going around a little bit of a loop. This doesn't feel big enough, which is kind of crazy. I can't really make it much larger though. This would be pretty much the absolute maximum we could go to. Let's go as big as we can, and then we'll pull back if we find that this is too much space and we can't populate it. So we'll start here. Yeah, I want this to feel grand. This feels much bigger. Yeah. Where did I get hit from? What is hitting me? Do I have a damage tile, like a spike tile set up there? I do. I have a random damage tile that's been floating around as I copy and paste this level. Cool. This can sit in the corner. Let's delete this spawn tile as well. Let's change this scene to load from... No, we've already done that. Let's copy this floor. Let's make this floor work. Open assets, infinite retries, content, art, dungeons, demon castle, TO3 work in progress. Let's grab a copy of this, copy that. Let's come over into here. Let's delete layer 3, which we were using before. Let's paste into layer 3 our floor. Copy. Sorry. Oh, we need to overwrite work in progress. I almost missed it. Overwrite raycast. And then we will go from here. Well, it's getting to be that time though. I do think I've went over for about an extra hour. We've dwindled down to a less number of people watching. Appreciate everyone popping in though. Probably should take some time to just do some stuff off camera. Probably not going to stop working though. Never stop, can't stop. But we will be back again tomorrow. I can figure out how to paste this. Oh, we had the layer turned off, which, yeah, probably didn't help. Okay, let's take a quick look at Balsamic. So, I also didn't really mention this before, but what's been going on is I've had 4 weeks off work. I had a bunch of time off saved up, and I had to use it all. So we took the last 3 weeks off in order to try and work towards getting our game towards a demo. I don't know if we're going to make it. It feels like we've made a large amount of progress from getting the cutscene stuff figured out, got the save system up and running, did some work with the enemies and getting the tutorial figured out, did a lot more work with the tutorial, having it so all the UI can turn on as we go through all the different cutscenes, worked a bunch on the map editor, then filled out a bunch of problems that we had with the cutscenes, refactored it a bit, made it work better, worked on some skill tree and polish work, did some more features, and then honestly the last 3 days has just been more editor stuff. But I'm starting to feel like what we just did for, like, you know, not that much time, I don't think, to get these fairly well looking rooms set up, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like this is starting to feel like we can very quickly use my map editor to populate the world and make spaces that feel like what I'm trying to achieve. So we've still got a few more days before I have to go back to work on the 6th. We are currently on the 30th. So we've got a stream tomorrow from 11 to 1 and then from 2 to 4. We've got another stream from 11 to 1 and then a stream with Drixie, I believe from 3 to 5. I need to double check with her on time there. We'll be working on some art stuff during that one. Another stream on Friday from 11 to 1, 2 to 4. Maybe a stream with Drixie on Saturday. I haven't talked to her about it yet, but I don't think we have much going on that day, and she has been very excited to do streams, so we may do another art stream, and then on my final day off we'll do another 11 to 1 and 2 to 4 stream. So still a fair amount of time, but in terms of stuff we need to do, we need to build all the maps, we need to build the skill trees, we need to build a bunch of cutscenes. That's just content, and content's just going to take time. We need to do a balance pass on all the stats. I don't know, it's just going to take, again, a fair amount of replaying the first few levels over and over and over again, trying to figure out what feels satisfying while also not making it feel like the game is too grindy to replay the same levels over and over. I'd like to improve the AI, but honestly the melee enemy slimes we have right now are probably good enough for the demo. And then there's just general polish and bugs I'd like to clean up, but the game's been working relatively well. The only bug I think we currently have in PureRef, which is what I've been using as a kind of like bug tracking software, the only thing we really have is the enemies can stack, which is a bit odd. There's a couple of features I'd still like to do, like the options and maybe chests or items. This is kind of all, these two are kind of related because we might want to make it so you need items to unlock abilities as well as experience with the skills, and the chests would kind of tie into how you would get those items. And there's just a lot of polish. I think this is kind of what we're working on now. We had some tasks to like redo the tutorial layouts and how you get the first ability, and that all kind of ties into the Demon Lord work. There's some combat stuff which is pretty high in priority, and there's some low priority stuff that's still fairly important that I'd like to get to. I don't know, I feel like we've done a fair amount. Last things here is options, and then like some sort of demo end that points people to the Discord, the YouTube, the general like social media stuff to be like, hey, if you like this demo of this game, please come give feedback. Again, I don't think we'll get all of this done even with a pretty healthy number of streams coming up over the next few days. Wednesday I'm taking off because I'd like to try and get a build just to see what problems I run into in that front. I've done it before. It's usually not a big deal, but I'd like to take that day off just to see how that goes. Even if we don't get a demo by January 5th, I think we are still in a good spot. Yeah, it feels like it's taken forever, but at the same time, we are making good progress. Even if we don't get to the actual goal of a demo, we will still be able to walk away with what is essentially a fairly why can't I not copy this? There we go. Even if we don't get to the full demo, I think that we're going to get to a point where we have a really well put together kind of prototype. Even if it's not something I feel confident releasing right away, I think it's going to be really handy to have. what is going on here? There's like a couple of pixels that we're off by. I've not seen that before with our tooling. Interesting. We're going to assume that that's some weird artifacting. We're going to inverse the selection and just delete all of it. We should be able to save this. And then I just want to see this before we call it. So Demon, Castle. Let's run the floor processor behind my head here in order to see what's going on. If you're interested in kind of getting to that demo, even if it isn't in a week, it hopefully should be some point relatively soon. Discord's a good place to keep an eye on. The YouTube channel and the Twitch obviously as well. Would appreciate as many people's eyes and as much feedback as possible. But again, for the most part, just enjoying the process. Been a couple of years, still just working through it. But I'd like to get to the point where we have a full demo and we're able to kind of show people. The other thing is controls. You don't see it on stream, but I think the controls are kind of awful too. So there's still work that needs to be done there. Okay, cool. I think that's the floor set up for this. I don't think I aligned them perfectly, but yeah, I might do it again off stream. Appreciate everyone sticking around. Appreciate all the follows. I will be back again tomorrow. For now, though, this is going to be Tolhi signing out. Later, folks.